afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, these and those and theys. This is fantasy football.
Oh,
Yeah.
reality. Yeah.
And here's always Greg Romero, Wilson Scott, the Nation Berman, my co-host
Thank
on
you.
the show, and on a show that I believe one day people will watch.
I do too.
I really do, and it's important. Anyway, so let's just start. Obviously, the week started last night with our beloved Dallas Cowboys, who went out there, and a lot of people were hating on them. A lot of people were like, take the Giants plus the 5.5, which let's just talk about. Yes, the Cowboys won as they were supposed to, so I'm not going to over celebrate it, but there is a lot of talk about the 5.5 point spread, them winning by
Yes,
5.
I was about to bring that up.
Accurate kicker in the history of the NFL out the gate misses on the kick that would have beaten the spread. Now it raises, and now with gambling being such a huge part of the sports world, it used to be this dark corner. Now it's the sponsor, it's the bannerhead. Bet your fucking money, dog. All they do is talk about the spreads, and now something like this happens. And again,
Al Michaels doesn't even need to hide his references anymore.
No, he said, and he did though. He's still so used to it.
He said it.
He goes, and that matters to some
people.
And you know who they are.
Right. Yeah. Yes, he did. He's always mentioned the spreads and gambling throughout. If you go back, I mean, he constantly brings up.
He always said it the same way. That might matter to some people.
Right.
That was always his code. That was his dog whistle for gamblers. Pay attention.
Yeah, right? His lightly veiled gambling comments.
Lightly to say it lightly. But here's the thing, and here's my pushback on that concept. Even though as likely as it sounds, the spread makers on these games have always seemed fucking psychic.
Yeah.
The way that I don't know how they do it, but
you know what it is, Greg. Have you never stumbled on? You go to Vegas a lot, and you've never seen the tank with the precogs that Vegas has. They got a tank with the precogs in it,
and the Minority Report. And
they've got it. They've got it.
Yeah, it always blows me away because I've always marveled at how they always know.
It's amazing. Within a half a point. I mean, it's crazy.
It's at 5, and even when I saw 5, I was like, that's a stupid number. Why would you choose 5.5? That makes no sense. I could see 6, 6.5.
I personally suffered.
You did. You lost because of the 5.5.
I did. I lost, and I'll be honest. I put $111 on it.
Ooh. Why?
And that bothers me.
That's very unique. Okay.
Because 111 paid 200.
Oh, right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it was I did it to make it even. Yeah.
110 or whatever. Yeah.
So I put $111 on it. So I thought I'll put this down, and and then I'll wind up with 311 in the account, or whatever. And so I was excited, and I was watching it, and it worked out so perfect for me. And Al throwing a little shout out, and I was like, yes, yeah. And he's like, and he makes these in his sleep, and he just made 100 billion yarder, and he's never.
Boy, he is a jinxiest motherfucker in broadcasting.
He owes me $111. That's what I think. I think Al Michael owes me $111. Or Aubrey does.
You and I, and to bring it back to fantasy now, and harsh reality, you and I are playing each other in a league of record, and I needed that 5 fucking points.
For first place, no less. We're the only 2 undefeated teams left.
Yes, they always got to go. Yes.
We're the only 2. It's 1 versus 2 right now. Me versus
1 versus 2, and I needed those points. And I said it last night when it happened. I said, not only was this a difference maker for the gamblers, it's going to wind up being the difference maker for my weekend. I just feel it. This is the way shit goes sometimes.
Well, first of all, you only would have gotten 5, I think. That was a 51-yarder, not 6.
5 points. He got me 11 anyway. That would have put it at
over projection
at 16. That is having a flex player for a kicker. Okay, that's what that is. Even at 11 points, that's having a flex player for a kicker.
So, it only takes 2 kicks for him to hit double digits fantasy.
Yeah.
Which
it's
is
unbelievable.
Yeah,
right. And if
it's
you would have
amazing.
had that 16 points for a kicker, third week in
And
a
he
row.
cost me $111.
Exactly. So
so
we
mad.
both. So here, both of us, and honestly, it warms my heart to know that even if that is the difference maker, you lost $111. That much.
Yeah.
I won both my bets on the first kick of the game because I had bet that the first score would be a field goal. I thought it would be Brandon Aubrey, but either way, and that there would be an over 48 yarder, and it was 52. So on the first kick, I won both my bets, and
That's
I was done. I was
48
like,
yarder. That's pretty
drink,
smart.
please. It's time to relax and enjoy this game.
Was the over 48 yarder for a touchdown or for any touchdown that over goes?
No, it was for a kick. Field goal
kick.
over 48 and a half. Anytime field goal over 48 and a half.
Look at you betting on
And
kicks.
I was like, come on. I almost wanted to put $1,000 on it. That seemed
Yeah.
like, it literally seemed like such a lock to me. Like
5.5
did,
versus the Giants
did last week. I would have made a fortune on that bet.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But let's get to fantasy. Let's get into this week.
Reality sucks bad this week.
The Dallas Cowboys, great.
But fantasy. Let's talk about fantasy a little bit then. So I am a big Cowboys fan. So it's hard. You had Dak Prescott, the Dallas defense, and Brandon Aubrey. I'm rooting for all of your players against right. And then on a different league. This is a crazy league. It's called the Guillotine League. It started yesterday. We drafted on Wednesday. Like we drafted on Wednesday. Our players played Thursday, and you don't play against each other. It's whoever scores the lowest points that week is out, and all of their players go back into the pool, and you can start, and the rest of the players left, and it's winner take all.
Oh,
pretty fun. Yeah. Pretty fun. Pretty cool. It's brand new. We're just starting.
Where are you going with this?
So I was like, all right, I've got to get through this week only without getting low points. That's all I got to do is not get low points, and I'm in next week. So I thought, here's my lock. I'm gonna get Singletary versus the Cowboys. Yeah, I was so locked in, and I used it as my whole strategy because I drafted. It's very hard. Because I drafted with my second pick, and they didn't put the shit in order either. Like you had to do your own stuff to like figure out. Like a lot of the players at the top were all on IR.
So are you
or whatever.
out? Are you gone now?
No. I mean, shit. All I had was Singletary. I mean, I got the lowest scoring possible player, I think, out of a starter.
Yeah.
And I have all these great players on my bench. Anyway, I could have done so much better. But anyway, so I threw it in.
I'm with you. I played Singletary over the Joe Mixon, Cam Akers situation and over Ramondre Stevenson. Like I can only go with one of the three. And I went with Singletary because everyone's looked like Walter Payton against the Dallas defense. And then last night, they finally learned to plug the holes. And I should have known better because Singletary isn't that good. But he had a couple really good games.
Yeah, he just came off such a right. And then this game, he looked so slow and so old. And then immediately got hurt and he got out. And then the guy who had all the wheels and catching it was that young kid, who we should all be paying attention to.
Yep.
Yes. And I was so mad I wouldn't remember his name. Because I was rooting so hard for Singletary.
I know, and Singletary, but I don't know if Singletary looked so bad so much as Dallas focused on stopping the run because
that
of the
brings us right into
criticism that they've been taking, which is why Neighbors had like 19 catches or whatever it was, and Wan'Dale Robinson also had like 13 catches. Because there was going to be they were like, no, you're going to have to throw against us because we are going to stop the run. It was clearly, to me, it was a decision that was made.
Well, that was all they chirped about. I mean, we live here.
By the Cowboys.
We live here. We hear the talk radio. You hear the talk radio. You hear that's all they're talking about all week is Dallas can't stop the run. 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 And then what's his name? Lawrence went out and Diggs went out and Parsons went out and all of our fucking players are out on defense. Like it just seems like we can't. Anyway, so I figured this is the week. This is the week.
Here we go. This is the week.
Dallas got right, with their defense.
Yeah.
Dallas got right. And so I feel like this is the week that Bucky Irving takes over the starting role for Rachaad White. I've been saying it since the beginning, but this is the week he's the starter.
Now, I'll agree that he will wind up being the dominant runner. He'll probably wind up with more actual touches, but I doubt he actually starts.
That's why I put it out there that way. I say start.
Okay,
this is the week. This is the week.
Okay,
he's gonna start.
I'm gonna say this is the week that the Bengals get off the schneid and get that first dub versus Carolina. I know Carolina looked a lot better last week, but I predicted there's always that new QB pop, where all of a sudden they look spectacular. But guess what's going to happen this week? They're going to go back to being Carolina, and the Bengals are going to go back to being the Bengals, which they have been close to. They keep inching and snipping and then not getting it. They'll get it. This is the week. Lock it in. I like the Bengals.
I really hope you're right. I hope you're right, man. Because their defense has been what's the most disappointing with the Bengals. You expected they had such great matchups, and they have talented players. I just don't understand why. For some reason, they just aren't. They look terrible, really.
Yeah.
But T. Higgins is coming back, so I think you're right. This is a good week to make.
This is the week. This is the week.
This is the week, my friend, that the Seahawks take their first L.
Oh, spicy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Detroit is going to knock them out.
In Detroit, yes.
In Detroit. And Detroit has that same thing like the monkey on their back that Dallas had versus New York. I just feel like last night, even though we didn't really prove it, I mean, some of the numbers look good, but that's not a team. That's not what, even though we won, I mean, that wasn't great. Anyway, for us.
Anyways, I will say that this is the week that the Bears get their first W against the Rams. And the only reason I say it is because the Bears still have, at this point, have so many more weapons than the Rams. And the Rams defense, has proven to be decent in the absence of Aaron Donald. They're still not an unstoppable defense. You can score on these guys. Arizona blew it more than they were shut down by the Rams. So I think the Bears, especially if they stop handing the ball to DeAndre Swift and go to literally anybody else, Herbert, Johnson, and I think they will. I think that's what's going to happen.
If my mother's available, I would think she could do a better job.
And then just with those Keenan Allen might come back finally, which good on you for picking him up for spending half your FOB to get him. It might happen.
He can stay on the field. I probably still won't play him. I probably still won't play him because he's coming.
Not in fantasy. He's not ready yet.
He'll be on the snap count, but it's good. It'll be good to see him back out there and see what's going on.
And in harsh reality, I think it'll be good for the team. I just think they have more available weapons. I think they've been inching closer to it. I think it's one of those things where Caleb Williams had to get used to the NFL game. Not that it's slowing down for him yet. I just think it's a good matchup. And I think this is the week that the Bears finally, they get off the schneid and they get that first win. I think they surprise the Rams. Am I betting on it? No. But do I think it's going to happen? I think this is the week.
We're going to get on this a little bit later, too. But I agree 100%. I've got another take here coming later.
Okay, good.
So I think I've got some other things that might happen, but I feel like the ones I've said, I feel like I can stand behind.
Well, I've got a few more then. Here we go. I believe this is the week that Brandon Ayuk shows up. And I know some people said it about last week. But when we talk about holdouts, they talk about those first 3 weeks being basically their training camp. Because they weren't in training camp. And now we've gotten through those 3 weeks. I think he's warmed up. I think he should be back to knowing how to play this position at the most elite level. And I think this is the week that we see Brandon Ayuk show up.
Well, I think this is also the week you're going to see George Kittle show up, and it might be the week that you see Deebo Samuel show up. And if that happens, then I think it's going to be harder for Ayuk to show up.
Oh, I think it'll be even easier because that'll obviously take a lot of attention off of him and he'll be able to get open.
I guess, maybe. I mean, we'll see. It certainly didn't help last week. I mean, it helped, just not him.
Well, no, all the attention was on him last week. And again, I don't think
Jennings.
Right.
Yeah.
So, exactly.
All right.
Now, I do think this is the week back to the Bears game that DeAndre Swift gets benched. I do think that.
I dropped him. I got to admit it. I did it.
I didn't. I kept him.
I did it. He's going to do great. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You know what?
I took the. I did. You know what? I can't look at him anymore. I can't have it. Congratulations.
Now I have to put him back in the lineup. Jackass.
I made the sacrifice for everybody
else. Because you range dropped him, which means he's going to go off. That's what that means.
I didn't. I mean, rage drop would have been week 1, and
Yeah.
I'm mad that I didn't rage drop him because there would have been 3 weeks that I might have actually had other players that I would have used. But
Can I
anyway,
tell you, I'm still not starting him. Okay, I think this is the week. This is the week
yeah,
that CJ Stroud puts up a 30-pointer versus Jacksonville.
yeah.
I think
love
he's
it.
gotten. I think they've become a doormat this season. I think it's the matchup they need, and I think he's going to finally be able to just pick and choose whatever he wants.
He does so much better at home.
Yeah, I just think this is the week. We've been waiting for him to look like last year's Stroud. This is the week.
This is it.
One last one. I do think this is the week that Isaiah Likely shows back up. I know he's been, and this is the tale of Likely. Some weeks he's hot and some weeks he's not. I think this is a good Isaiah Likely week.
It's easy for you to say
because they're up against the Bills, which is a very good defense, which is going to be shutting down. They're going to be forced to focus on a lot of other elements, which I think is what is necessary to make Likely a thing that happens. And I think those elements are there this week, and I think this is the week that we see Likely do that.
You're right. You're right to mention the defense. However, the one weak spot of the defense
is the passing
tight ends. The tight ends.
Well, the passing game, but
I mean, it's specifically the tight end, like and those slot. I guess those in routes, but against the tight end, they're weak. The tight ends have scored more on them. I think they are I think they were like the 10th worst, against tight ends. So, you take your shot. I think, so Isaiah Likely, that's where they can get to the Bills. That's when they can maybe make
and I think they're going to need to. I think they're going to need to keep up with them, and I think it's going to go through Likely.
Yeah, and I think this car accident was worse than people said, and that he had injuries that they didn't disclose for Mark Andrews, and that he's not back to full strength, or something is wrong. Something is wrong.
Yeah, he looks real slow out there. He's lumbering around pretty laboriously.
Yeah, he's too young for that.
So I think it's going to be a good Likely. I think he's back. I think this is be a good week to fire him up. All right, and now let's move on to Don't Be Surprised. And I'll leave this one off. I would like to say, don't be surprised if Travis Kelce disappoints you again.
I thought you were going to go the other way.
I know. I thought you were going to go the other way. He's going to disappoint you again. I know you can't take him out, although I am going to play Dallas Goedert over him this week.
Sure.
Yeah. Because I think because the Chiefs aren't going to lose. They are going to take a loss, and it's going to take a loss before they start using him again. As long as they can win without having to put too much wear and tear on him and put him at risk and stuff, they're not going to throw the ball to him very much. They're trying to. I think it's clear that Mahomes is trying to build a chemistry with the other guys as much as possible. He knows he has it with Kelce. He knows he can turn that faucet on anytime he wants.
Yeah, and
it is not going to happen until they're either really losing or they do lose, and they're like, okay, enough with the practice. Let's go to bread and butter, back to Kelce, and then you're going to see that uptick.
But
until that happens, I think he's kind of off the radar. I
love that you're making this great argument, but don't be surprised if he eats a bag of dicks again this week. So don't let it surprise you.
Yeah, don't be surprised.
Don't do it.
I mean, they're up against the Chargers, who have a very good defense, but are very depleted, and that defense is going to get tired. So I just don't think they're going to need to go to the Kelce fountain just yet. So he's going to disappoint you.
Right. Well, I mean, they may have to use him a little bit more. I mean, I don't know. I've been saying that since Pacheco went out, and it doesn't appear to be the case.
I thought it would affect Worthy too, and it didn't. So
you're right. So, well, don't be surprised. And this goes. This is sort of together, a twofer, right? Don't be surprised if Caleb Williams is a top 5 fantasy quarterback this week. Wow. Don't be surprised, and don't be surprised. And don't be surprised. Yeah. I'm going to spit hot fire. Put the emoji out. Yeah. Oh, no, I wish I hadn't done that because now you can put anything in there. Anyway, Don't be surprised if Cole Kmet is the tight end #1 this week.
Wow, spicy. I like it. All right.
They go together, baby.
I will go the opposite direction and say, don't be surprised if Carolina goes back to sucking ass. And Dalton goes back to being Dalton. Okay, again, it's always a 1 week pop and then back to reality. And I think the entire organization just goes back to reality, which is they just weren't that good and aren't that good. And I think that's what I see happen. So don't be surprised if you're putting in Dalton to save your season. Don't be
surprised if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Look, I love that. It's a very friendly reminder because we fall for these things all the time. Yeah. And then we're surprised when it happens.
You rush right over there. You rush over there like, oh, here's the stuff, throw it out there.
Yeah, week 1. I mean, how many in your leagues, how many do you see Isaiah Likely on the waiver wire right now?
None, but he's on the bench.
Really?
He's on the bench.
I see him on a lot of waiver wires. People paid all this fab.
Yeah.
And then they freaked out. And they were like, well, why isn't it happening again? Don't be surprised if week 1 is a mirage. Don't be surprised. You're saying don't be surprised if the team that sucked really bad and was good last week is still not good and is very bad.
Because I think, because I think that they've been such a doormat that the Raiders went in there expecting to. I don't think they expected to have to try. Yeah. I think they had just come off beating the Ravens. They expected to just go in there, and so they got shot. They got rickrolled. And now no one's gonna not take them seriously going into this week, and so they're gonna get foot stomped like they normally do.
Well, I would say I wouldn't be surprised if T. Higgins goes off in this game.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, right? That's the game. Yeah, Cincinnati, Carolina. Yeah,
second game back, and. Kind of got involved a little bit. He's a big target. I mean, I think that if he really is all the way back after, if there's no setbacks this week, and he has no designation going into the game, don't be surprised if he goes off.
Okay. I like it. It's spicy. Yeah. Don't be surprised. Okay, this one, I may have been high when I wrote this. But you know what? I'm going to stand by it because I really do. And again, I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm not calling it. I'm saying don't be surprised if the Falcons beat the Saints. Okay? Don't be surprised. The Falcons are at home. And let me tell you something, Raheem Morris is the real deal, just like D'Amico Ryans down in Houston. Raheem Morris is the real deal because he can motivate those guys. He's closer to their age group. He speaks their language. He knows how to talk to them, and he's a former player that they all respect. And they got a taste for winning last week. They got a little taste of winning last week, right? And the Saints got a big old mouthful of losing last week. And the Saints sometimes can't help being the Saints. And you talk about a Falcons team that's loaded with talent. I don't be surprised if the Falcons.
I think that's Saints. A great one. I mean, because I'm not sure right now if Alvin Kamara is healthy as well.
He's questionable. He is questionable. Yeah.
I mean, he tends to play, but I don't know. I mean, is he the same? If he is in any way not himself, then it would certainly come as no surprise that they would lose this game. And maybe they're just reeling from last week.
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't. You're right. Don't be surprised.
Don't be surprised.
And don't be surprised if Davante Adams just gets you less than 10 points. Don't be surprised.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Don't be surprised if that big name that you drafted in the first round or the beginning of the second round just sucks so bad. Just don't be surprised.
Well, okay, I can see that because they're going up against the Browns.
Yes.
Which, on paper has a great defense. Their heart's a little broken right now. By the way,
they've shown some vulnerability, I admit.
Yeah, they keep getting shredded and all the wrong. I think there's a lot of dispiritedness over there on that sideline. That's the only thing that's working in their favor. But if they come out and play the way they can, I can see where that could absolutely be true.
Yeah, a better way of putting it would have been: don't be surprised if Trey Tucker has more points than Davante Adams this week.
Okay, there you go. Both could be very true. Don't be surprised if Tyler the Batty totes the rock more than Javonte Williams. I think they've seen what they got, and if you picked him up, I was a big proponent of getting him off the waiver wire in the week 3 episode, and he looked good, and I think he might get more touches than Javonte this week. I think Javonte is running out of chances.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Will he have more? Will he have the most touches of all the running backs?
McLaughlin may have more. It may be go
That's
McLaughlin,
what I'm asking. Yeah.
Batty, and then Javonte. I think, and I'll be interested to see if Javonte starts. If Javonte starts, I mean, again, much like the DeAndre thing, I think it's 1 or 2 totes, then it's sit out, and then the other guys just take over.
Wow. Well, fun. I hope that you're right. I'd like to see that. I want to see it. I want to
don't be surprised.
Don't be surprised. I would be pleasantly surprised. Right. Can I do that? I would be pleasantly surprised.
Allow yourself to be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, thank you. And then my last one is, don't be surprised if Aiden O'Connell is the one that finishes this Vegas game. Don't be surprised. If Minshew starts and O'Connell finishes, don't be surprised.
Yeah, well, we saw it last week. It could easily happen again.
You brought it up last week. And I've been thinking about it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up actually doing it this week, like finishing the game.
Yeah. I know. When the coach has to go out there and be like, but look, Minshew's still our guy. Okay, that means, for the moment, yeah.
Sucks. Could you imagine being the coach and having to bench the guy who just beat the Ravens?
It's hard to do, and I think that's where he's at. I think that's where
that would
he's
be
at.
hard.
We can't he just beat the Ravens. So I think maybe they got a little high. And again, Vegas is one of those towns, much like Dallas, when you win and then everybody sucks your dick all week long, and then you're like, yeah. And then you go out there and take a shit. So
okay.
All right.
Don't
be surprised. I got a couple more.
Go for it.
Don't be surprised if the Commanders beat the Cards.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Trey McBride is out.
Well, that's a big deal.
He's out. He was questionable.
And the Cards are feeling it, much like the Falcons. Little taste. That's all they needed. And now they're feeling it. I could see the Commanders beating the Cards. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Walker Charbonnet outscores Montgomery Gibbs.
Wow. Okay, now that I will be surprised. I would be surprised.
And I'm telling you why right now, because I think the way the defense, I think the Seahawks are just going to be more committed to the run than the Lions. I think the Lions, because of the Seahawks defense, are going to lean way more into the pass game. And whereas I think the Seahawks are going to stick with that run game. And that's why I think the combination. And by the way, Walker coming back, I don't think I think what Charbonnet's done the last 2 weeks merits more of a split than what they've had. And so it'll look more going forward, I think, like the Montgomery Gibbs split. I think that's what we're going to see more of out of Seattle. And so that's why I just
certainly
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but don't be surprised if it does.
You're right, though. Certainly on his first game back, Walker's should be on a pitch count. Because you say, okay, well, I've got this guy who's been doing very well, admirably. Well, we'll ease you back in slowly. We don't have to force you in and risk a potential re-injury. So Charbonnet should have some value still. You should.
And one last one: don't be surprised if Juwan Jennings floats back down to earth. Listen, there's a reason he's not one of the starters. Okay, I know he had the huge game last week, but again, there's no tape on him. Nobody knows him. Now everyone takes him seriously. There's a reason he wasn't one of the starters, and it'll go back to being that reality this week. Everyone's gonna rush to put him in, start him up, fire him up, and every lineup probably over other good guys.
I've got him in almost all my DraftKings lineups. He's in there. I've got him. He was cheap, and he's cheap for a reason because they think what you think.
Right? Which is he's gonna float right back down to 6 fucking points. That
makes sense. Yeah, I'm afraid of that for sure.
Don't be surprised.
Oh shit!
All right, let's move.
I'm relying on that guy. I'm relying, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I got him in no league, so I can easily think.
I've got troubles. I got some troubles. I've got a lot of injury concerns. And Juwan, I was like, "There's my savior, baby."
I could be wrong. But I don't know. I feel like everyone's going to know where he is this time. This time, no, he doesn't just disappear on the field and show up at the end zone. Okay, it's not going to happen.
Should we go
Yeah.
into some? You want to go into some sleepers, or you want to
No,
do a
let's go
little?
into the must starts. We'll do must starts, then must sits, and then the sleepers. So the must starts, we'll start with quarterbacks. And for me, the two of them, and again, we don't do the big names, and obviously you got to keep them in, blah blah blah. But
Right.
everyone's been talking about it this week, and I agree. And it's Justin Fields versus the Colts, and a lot of it has to do with both the way Justin Fields has been playing and the way that the Colts have been playing, quite frankly. So I think it's a great matchup for him. I think if you got him, I think you can fire him. I think he's a must start. He's going to get a lot of points this week, I think.
Nice. I'll be honest, I couldn't feel comfortable saying I must start any quarterback this week. And I know that's terrible. I mean, other than the ones that we all know, I can't say you must start Justin Fields. I can't, it's hard to say that. You must start. I can't think of one that's not Hurts.
Except for Josh Allen, maybe.
Yeah, it Hurts or Allen.
I'll give you another one that I think is a must start. I think it must start Malik Willis. And I know.
Oh my God, that's crazy talk.
Can you just hear me out?
Oh my
Versus
God.
that Minnesota defense, I think he's going to have to run for his life. And we saw it last week. That's apparently where he's bounced, is when he's running for his life. And then all of a sudden you're getting all those, he ran a fucking, 25-yard touchdown? I mean, come on. I think Malik Willis versus Minnesota, I love him. I think he's a must start. Well, at least in daily fantasy.
Wow. I mean, Minnesota's defense is no joke.
I know. That's why I think he's going to have to run. And I think that's what's going to run up the points for him. He's a great runner.
Okay. I mean, must start. I love it. Yeah. That's why I don't have any. I mean, I think it's great. I'm glad you're saying this because I don't have the balls to say these things.
He might be in the sleeper. Maybe he should be in the sleeper flyer category. He might be in the sleeper flyer category.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Let's keep it spicy. Let's keep it spicy. All right, let's go to wide receivers. I know you got some of those.
Yes, I do. And you're going to love this one. I think you must start Stephon Diggs this week.
Yeah, I love it. You're right. I do love that one.
Playing against the Jaguars. And Nico Collins is a little banged up. Tank Dell is, I think, is going to be out.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's next up over there. Maybe that Mechie kid or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they do still have Mechie. Yeah.
If he would be the one or what. But if Tank Dell is definitely out and Nico's banged up, Schultz has been underperforming. And if Mixon is still out too, I mean, it's going to be Stephon Diggs. It's going to be a lot of Stephon Diggs, and it should be. Yeah. They paid him a bunch of money. I say he's a must start this week, Stephon Diggs.
I like Khalil Shakir for the Buffalo Bills. I just, the Ravens defense, stout against the run, tough, easier against the pass. And Shakir's the one guy that he is clearly the most comfortable with and is, I think, forced his way into the must start conversation. I think you must start Khalil Shakir.
I cannot argue that. I wish I had him. I could have had him.
But I have him in 2 leagues.
I should have done it. You said it early, but I thought, no, I don't need Khalil Shakir. I don't need that. And I did. Turns out I would have really appreciated getting it.
So. I mean, by the end of the season, Keon Coleman might be really chomping into his status, but right now it's Khalil Shakir.
All right. Well, I love it. And then you might like this too. I don't know if you have him, but to go with all my spicy takes on Caleb Williams and Cole Kmet, I'm saying that DJ Moore is a must start.
Okay.
And that.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. I think
if they're going to get that win, it's going to take DJ Moore to do it.
Absolutely.
So I can't disagree with you. I got to roll with that.
So I think he's a must start this week. And I think that, all of these this Chicago team is going to have a day.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Totally agree. I think they get that first dub. I think this is the week.
Yeah.
I think you must start Allen Lazard. When they're against the Broncos, which, of course, that means Patrick Surtain, which has locked down every star receiver he's seen. And couple that with the chemistry with Wilson and Aaron Rodgers not being fully formed yet at all, actually, not even close.
Yeah.
I think it just opens the door for Allen Lazard Day. Wave the flags. It's, welcome home, Allen Lazard. Like, it's start Allen Lazard.
Must start. we all know that Aaron Rodgers said, "I want him to come with me."
Yes.
And if Aaron Rodgers, and he said that while he was very young. I mean, not Rodgers, because was he ever very young? I don't know. Hard to remember. But Allen Lazard, it was like his rookie year. He was like, well, I want him, or his second year, whatever. He was like, he's coming with me. And when you can develop that relationship with somebody like Aaron Rodgers, these vets, the reason they stick around is they find a guy they can trust, they work a relationship, and they work it that's it. That's how they do it. They survive off of that. So Allen Lazard, I mean, must start. Those are
I wonder if somewhere Jordy Nelson's like hitting the gym.
Oh God.
I guess he needs me. I gotta get down there to the
Was it Jordy Nelson or was it Edelman who got busted for doing drugs in Mexico on spring break?
I don't know.
One of those guys.
I don't know, but whichever one it is, he just went up a couple points in my book.
So if it's Jordy Nelson, I'm guessing he's not lifting. I'm guessing he's somewhere on a beach doing X.
Yeah,
dropping Molly or whatever the kids do.
Might be a little old for that now, maybe. If anything, he might be doing a little mushroom therapy, to help the brain relax.
Sure.
All right. Any more wide receivers?
Not must starts. I've got a bunch of must sits.
Let's do must start tight ends, which is obviously a murky field, but I've got one that I think is spicy.
Let's hear it.
Zach Ertz, Arizona, Washington. He's clearly developed a bit of chemistry there. And Jaden Daniels is going to be scrambling around. I just think he's cut out a really nice little niche there with Jaden Daniels.
What was Jaden Daniels
is electric,
last week? 21 of 23. Is that right?
Something like that.
Unfreaking believable. Okay, that's that was his third ever game in football and on the professional level, and he had a 91% completion rate or something. That was outrageous, amazing. So yes, Ertz should get involved. The only thing I would be a little nervous about is, perhaps don't forget they've got a rookie over there, and he's in my sleepers. So I don't know.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about it. At the tight end position, obviously, we just need production.
Right.
Any kind of involvement. And that's really why he's a must start.
PPR, you're right. PPR.
Because he's shown that he's at least involved.
Yeah.
They at least he's involved in the game plan. He's getting 5-6 targets a game. So at this point, and some of them I think he's eventually going to score. I think that chemistry is starting to happen.
Let me throw
and I just really think in the desert of tight ends, I think right now Zach Ertz.
Let me throw two names at you. Would you start Zach Ertz over these two guys? Colby Parkinson.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember who they're playing. The Rams play
because even with the reduced manpower they had last week, they still didn't get him the ball much.
Okay. Well, I just want to throw that out. Here's the other name. So I've got an immediate yes on Colby. Would you start Zach Ertz over Tyler Conklin?
They're even to me. They're
even. Okay.
Even. I think that's another guy that you could. And in fact, absolutely. Okay. I would put Conklin in the must-start conversation. Absolutely, because he's also been involved, and you're looking for just anything to buoy it along.
Anything.
Just to be involved. And Ertz is going to be involved. And yes, I love Conklin this week too. I would say he's a must-start as well. I would also say, Dallas Goedert versus Tampa Bay because.
Easy.
But it's particularly a must start because everybody's injured.
Yeah, no AJ Brown, no Devonta Smith. I mean, it's going to be
Devonta Smith, maybe not. We'll see.
And Barkley.
It's Goddard and Barkley, exactly.
Or Jahan Dotson. I mean, do you think Jahan Dotson's going to have a game?
No, I think it's going to be a whole lot of Dallas Goedert.
Sure. Like it was last week. I mean, 170. That one seems like. I mean, you're not going to get 170 on it, whatever, because
he's a must start. He's a must start.
But he's absolutely a must start. I think, and I've already told you, Cole Kmet's a must start. But I think at this point, against the Jags, we're kick them when they're down. Gesicki has really come up a lot in targets. So even if he doesn't get in the end zone, which he might not, I don't know. But I think you've got a pretty safe floor, a lot of production. And I think that when it comes to this landscape, I think I would maybe start Gesicki over Ertz. I think I would.
Wow.
I don't know. Hard to say. I think that to me,
because Gesicki really bottomed out last week.
It's his target share. He still had like 5 or 6 targets. I need again, 5 or 6 targets.
I like Ertz more. I do.
Okay, fair enough.
Because they're at least an organization trending in the right direction.
Well, and I do have one other. Because it is tight ends. You had mentioned Justin Fields as a must-start quarterback. I have Freiermuth as a must-start tight end in this situation because I do believe, Freiermuth was injured for the first couple of weeks, and he's coming on, he's getting better. Justin is managing games rather than freaking out and running all the time. And when that happens, you look short and you throw these zingers, you do the West Coast offense. And Freiermuth is really good in there. And I think he's a big target. So I think
are you saying he's a sleeper, or are you saying he's a must start?
I'm putting him in a must start.
All right. Okay. You heard it here first. Spicy take. I like it.
Wait till you hear the sleeper.
Okay. Well, let's move on to must start running backs. Do you want to lead us off on this one? Who you got?
Yeah, I've got a total of 4 of them. I mean, I'll start us off.
I've got 3.
You got 3? All right. Well, I'm going to start us off with Brian Robinson Jr. is a must-start running back.
He's on my list too.
He should be. Austin Eckler, I think, is going to be out.
He's out.
Okay, so if
he's already declared out.
With Eckler declared out already, he is a must-start. That's the true definition. And I think, they're going against Arizona, right? So, Arizona's defense is not great. It's middle
not
of the
amazing.
road.
They're not intimidating anybody right now.
Right, and I think there's going to be room to run, and I think that they're dedicated to the run, and I think that now with Daniels having shown out so bad with his arm and his legs, that it's just going to open up a crazy amount of opportunities for him. So must start Brian Robinson Jr.
Good call. I will say must start Zach Moss. Again, picking on the Cincinnati-Carolina game, I just think this is the week for Cincinnati to put it all together, and I like Zach Moss. He's been getting all the good opportunities, the majority of the opportunities. He's the clear cut now clear cut. People were wondering what was it going to be like with him, and no, it is now clearly Zach Moss, which I said it would be. Here it is. Zach Moss must start. Great smash play versus Carolina.
I could not disagree more with that statement.
Wow.
I believe that he's about to lose that job, and I have him on my must-sit list. His production has been bad. He has not been ramping it up.
The production has been bad.
The team's production has been bad, but I'm telling you that, what's his name? Chase Daniels is Chase Brown.
Yes.
Chase Brown has looked better to me. The eyeball test shows me that you said, that's always been this. I think it still is that. You think it's clear cut. I don't. I think Brown's going to come in here, and I think, Zach Moss is a must sit, quite frankly. So this will be fun. One of us.
Spicy, boy. This is the first truly divergent set of takes, and I look forward to seeing how this works out. Yeah.
Same here.
All right.
One of us is going to be right. One of us is going to be right. One of us
has got to be wrong. So.
Right. Exactly. And this one I think is so fun. This is my favorite one. Just because.
Okay, here we go.
Aaron Jones against Green Bay. You traded me away. You thought I was all busted. I don't know how much they got for him or whatever. Oh, you thought Josh Jacobs was going to replace me? You thought Josh Jacobs could replace? And by the way, he has done a pretty good job. But this is
the first 2 weeks, not last week. But
yeah, right. But I mean, just for the record. But Aaron Jones, I mean, I'm in his head.
No, I agree with you.
He's going to go out there, and they're going to let him. They're going to let him.
They're going to let him.
Personal.
Yeah, and that defense is going to keep him in the game where they can just keep using him. So
must start.
I love that. For me, must start, but probably not the reason you're thinking, but for me, Chuba Hubbard versus Cincinnati, if for no other reason than this is probably the last chance. Because Brooks.
You said don't be surprised earlier, yeah.
Yeah, Brooks is coming off of the IR soon, and he's looking to take over that role probably. I mean, they'll have to ease him in initially, but this week of it being Hubbard is the guy, he's going to get the touches, he's going to get the opportunities. If you want to use him, he's a must start this week because it's never going to get any better for him.
Well, you're categorizing the must start with if you want to use him.
Right. I'm categorizing it with because the other guy's coming, so you must start him this week if you're going to start him at all.
If you need to use him,
yeah.
you must do it now because
my
this
show.
is your last
chance. I want.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just trying to clear. I'm just getting it all set up. I must start. Do I must start Chuba Hubbard? And you said don't be disappointed if they suck a dick again. So if that's the truth, should I start them? If they suck, they're all going to suck. Can they even get in a position? Is he game scripted out from running?
Just don't be surprised.
Oh, that's true.
I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. I'm saying don't be surprised if that happens. But also, if you're going to play Hubbard, I mean, the only way out of it for them to not look like that is going to be if Hubbard has a good day too, just like Dalton, and then I'm telling you, this is the last chance.
What? You're right.
This is the best last chance to use Chuba Hubbard as an RB1 on his own team.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that there is a lot that is great about him as far as those short passes. He's a catching running back, and anyone who can catch, any running back that can be a pass catcher goes up, in value. And I think he may, if Andy's in trouble, there may be a lot of check down pepper targets to him that could add up to a lot of floor points, and then all he has to do is break one or fall into the end zone if they get, and that'll make him like, a very nice play.
Yeah.
So I can see where you're coming from. I can see it.
Right.
And I'm going to say one last one as far as running backs and it's kind of like your Chuba Hubbard when I'm at, must start if you need to, if you're in this position, I think Cam Akers for the same reason. This may be your last chance because if
totally
Nixon
agree.
and Pierce and all these people are all, but there's a caveat. If those guys are still out, then Cam Akers he's a must start because he's gonna get unless of course he gets hurt, which he's prone to do. But they're gonna have to give him all those carries. He's gonna get like 90% of the carries over there. I don't know who's gonna spell him. So. I think he's a must start.
Well, and this brings me to, just my final little segment. I'll just rattle these three off really quickly because these are really just whole units that I feel are must starts. And you already mentioned two of them. So I have everyone on the Texans versus the Jags, both offensively and defensively, with the exception of maybe the tight end, and although, Schultz is supposed to be
due. He's due.
Yeah. And then also, both defenses in the Titans versus Miami game. I mean, you have two pretty bad offenses, especially the Titans defense, but the Titans defense hasn't been very good, but it should be good against whoever they're going to use, whether it's Skylar Thompson or Snoop Huntley. And then so either one of those defenses I think is a must start.
Okay.
And then I like everyone on the offense for both the Bills and the Ravens in what I think is going to be a high-scoring game, even though they both have very good defense.
Well, does everyone? Let me break down everyone. Does everyone mean everyone? I mean, as far as
everyone that's viable.
Keon Coleman.
Everyone that's viable. Everyone that's
Keon Coleman part of everyone?
Not really. No. I'm talking about the main guys. Your RB1, your wide receiver one, your tight end one, and exactly, and your quarterback.
Cook.
Your ones you can count on. Yeah.
Right. Those are the one. Those are the top three. Can you count on anyone else?
No, not necessarily, but all those ones on both sides of the ball.
Those are great. Those are great. Maybe Dawson Knox, if they want to use him too, the second, like if everyone's looking at Kincaid and they try to sneak in a Knox, maybe he can do something.
Yeah. And Keon Coleman might, he scored a touchdown. He's spreading the ball out. Again, I feel like it's really in everyone. You can pretty much start probably everyone on both offenses in that game. It should be total fireworks.
Yeah, but right. I got you. Maybe even Curtis Samuel gets in on the fun. We'll see.
Maybe. We'll see.
Or don't they have Marquez Valdez-Scantling now? I mean, that guy gets around too. I think they got MVS. So maybe he gets in. It'll be fun. You're right.
It's like a virus that just keeps changing teams.
Oh, I got the Allen. Oh no, I've got the MVS.
I got the horrible MVS.
Oh. All right. So those are what? Those are all your starts right there?
Those are all the starts. Those are the must starts.
Okay, so I've got for defenses, you got to take Pittsburgh versus the Colts. First of all, Pittsburgh's been killing it anyway. And
I was going to say that you don't got to tell anybody that.
Right.
You know,
they're killing it anyway. But going against the Colts in particular, I mean, that's like wow, because he's really been sucking.
And believe me, I found him on the wire in one of my leagues. I was like, what idiot left the Steelers here?
Oh, the Steelers.
Yeah.
I thought yeah. Yeah, what idiot left the Steelers?
I don't know. They dropped him for somebody. I was like, no. I couldn't believe it.
All right, I got the Browns to get off the schneid because they're playing Vegas. And like I said, I'm not sure who's going to finish that game. I don't think the same quarterback that starts is going to finish. I mean, don't be surprised, is what I'm saying, if that happens. And so that would mean that the defense is having a day. So I go the Browns. I've got the Bears versus the Rams. The Bears have been very good anyway. The Rams they got Tutu Atwell and some guy named Winningham or something.
Winningham.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a lot going on.
Yeah, they are destroyed. Yeah.
So I mean, I'll take the defense against that.
Sure.
And the Texans, of course, versus the Jags, because Jags, just whipping boys.
Right now, yeah, they're just broken.
My must sits though.
Let's go.
My must sits. Should we do defense first?
Sure.
All right, my must sits on defense. I've got 3 of them. You must sit the Eagles.
Sure.
Versus Tampa Bay, and I understand. You drafted them high, and you thought it's like Dallas. You thought it was going to be something.
Oh, they disappointed last night. I played them again. I was believing it. I was like, this is such a great matchup. They're gonna and Daniel Jones is a stick figure most of the time. I was like, it's gonna be sexy. It's gonna be coming.
Yeah. Parsons is gonna eat. Parsons is gonna eat. And then Lawrence went out and Diggs went out. Parsons went out. Everybody went out. Everybody went out. And even Greg Watson, Zach Martin is over there. I think his eye came out during the game at one point. He had to go put his eye back in.
Yeah, anyway, it was horrible.
The defense fell apart. But yeah, so play the Eagles. Sit the Eagles. Sit the Cards versus the Commanders.
I agree.
Because Jalen Daniels,
he's going to get around you. He's going to find a way around you.
Jaden has been doing pretty.
Like I said, don't be surprised. Commanders take that one.
And sit the Colts defense, not if you weren't already, versus Pittsburgh.
Oh, come on.
I know.
No one's playing the Colts defense.
I'm just saying that because Pittsburgh is a weak offense with Fields the way he's playing,
that's true.
that people might want to stream them this week. And I'm saying don't do that.
Okay.
Don't use that matchup. Don't look at the matchup and say, well, it doesn't matter. This is an indie defense that I stream, because I streamed them when they went up against Malik Willis's game 1, and they let them run all the fuck over. So yes, don't. It looks good. Same with the Raiders. The Raiders defense is a great matchup against the Cleveland offense, which has been eating a bag of dicks. But they have continually disappointed against Carolina. They couldn't have been teed up better than against Carolina, and they let Carolina look like. So dude, I thought Max Crosby was going to have 10 sacks alone.
Totally, I did too. So, but I didn't play. I was like, I don't trust them against this Dalton thing. So. Don't trust the Raiders and don't trust Indianapolis, regardless of the matchup. They have a way of just blowing layups.
Because Raiders are actually the highest ranked right now on all of the platforms. I just dropped them.
Don't touch them. It's a
landmine. I threw it out there. Let somebody else pick that up. Let somebody else pick up that.
They're that guy that takes the layup and it goes right over the rim to the other side.
Exactly.
It's like, how did you miss that?
How do you miss a dunk? It's like whatever. How do you miss a layup?
Yeah.
An uncontested layup. So those are my must sit for defenses.
For my defensive must sit, it literally says everyone on the Jags, unless Ingram starts. And actually, unless Ingram starts, the tight end on the Jags is the only position that I think is potentially playable this week.
Funny, I've got them on my must sit list.
Yeah,
is that any tight end on the Jags, whether it's Ingram or Strange, and it's not their fault. It's the organization's fault. Like I wouldn't, even though they're strong, like they're starters and they're tight ends, for God's sake, they should be involved. Like it's weird. You'd think that they could, like, especially Ingram, who has been, historic. Like these last couple of years, his connection with Trevor Lawrence has been unbelievable. So you would think that if he comes back, he's going to rely on him again. But even if he does, something's broken over there. I would wait till it gets fixed before I
I would
start
say
any of
that'd be
those.
the one playable player. Everyone else would be sit, including the defense. I
Yeah.
would sit, and these are kind of all jumbled because I only have a few of them.
Got it.
But I would sit Anthony Richardson versus the Steelers. I think it's a bad play, and he's been very disappointing this season. And I think he's going to throw a lot of interceptions. So I would sit. I think Anthony Richardson is a must sit this week.
I agree 100%, and DraftKings agrees with you too. I believe his salary is $5,200. One of the cheapest salaries out there
for a quarterback.
So, for a quarterback, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, and I mean, this is a guy who you thought. I mean, anyway. Like you look at Jaden Daniels, I think is 68.
Yeah.
Just for the record, like they got him low, bro. So you're not alone there. And of course, TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Jesus, he's something. That guy is something else.
Yeah, Richardson's going to be running for his life. And let me tell you something, after all the injuries he took last week, he's going to be out there seeing ghosts. Trust me. He's going to be out there seeing ghosts and dodging stuff and throwing the ball to I sit. If you got another quarterback, which you should, if you got a Baker Mayfield, you got somebody else, Jaden Daniels.
That's a great pivot. You know who I'm using? Else? He'll tell you my pivot, and it doesn't feel great because of the narrative, But I'm starting Jared Goff over
great start
over Anthony. Absolutely. He's starting against Seattle, and the Seattle's got this resurgence in defense and all this stuff, and it's a little scary, you know. But I am way more scared to start Anthony Richardson. I cannot trust him. Certainly not in this matchup of all matchups
versus the Steelers defense.
I don't want to give him a chance. I'll even start. So yes. Baker, I would probably start Aaron Rodgers, I think, over
Aaron Rodgers. I would absolutely start Aaron Rodgers over Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. So he's a good must sit for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Who else you got?
So I've got, as far as tight ends go, I say you must sit. I told you all the Jags. And it's funny. We're on the same page. You must sit Kelsey. I'd say it's a hateful thing to hear, and it's hard to do. But I mean, shit, man.
I can only sit him in one league. Most of the people just simply can't afford to sit him, just because the projectional difference between him and whoever else you might have is too great. I'm lucky in that in one league I have Brock Bowers as my alternate. So
don't say one league. It's your league of record is the league. The one that matters. It's the one that matters.
I got Brock
Bowers. The one that I face you in.
I know. So I got Kelsey sitting over there on that bitch.
Dude, you should just drop him. You should just drop him.
No, I'm going to wait for him to have that one big game and then use him as a trade piece.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So
just like last year.
You must sit Kelsey, and you must sit Hunter Henry.
Yep.
You know,
I just straight up dropped him again for Zach Ertz because I like his matchup better this week.
100%.
And the involvement. I love the
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry is
fools you. He fools you.
Yes, he has one big game, then 3 bad games, and one big game,
another
then 4 bad games. Like that's just who he is, and it's proven
if
to
you
be.
Can time it right, if you can time it right, great. He's like him and Austin Hooper are like
likely.
The same guy.
If you can time it right,
or likely.
This is the week
exactly. It's highly likely. Highly likely.
It's likely for likely.
I think I'm going to make a move. I think I'm going to make a move on that. All right. So I tell you, my wide receiver sits are Devontae Adams.
Jeez, but he can't.
You must sit him. He's going to disappoint you. Michael Pittman Jr. You probably maybe even dropped him, so I guess that's pretty obvious. Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah,
you know, even
it's a bad matchup.
Even if Strange and what's his name don't play or whatever, he's the only one left. I mean, you can't play him. The team, you can't play anyone, and that includes. Let's move into my must sits for the running backs, and that's ETN. He's a must sit, bro. And I know you hate that. I know you don't want to hear that, and that hurts.
You know, he was one of those guys I felt like I really missed out on, and then now he's one of those guys that I feel like I dodged a bullet.
100%. Yep. He's a must sit this week. Must sit.
Really quickly, my must sit wide receiver is Xavier Worthy. I mean, yeah, because he's just not there yet. He's so boomer bust. It's all bust right now. We got to wait until later on in the season. Don't drop it.
Okay, here are your choices. Here are your choices.
You know who else? Wait a minute. You know who else started out real slow was Tyreek Hill. Okay, Tyreek Hill started slow like this too, so just wait. But he isn't playable until the back end of the season. So just put him on the bench, leave him on the bench. But he's a must sit for me until further notice.
Okay, would you rather? So let's put it to the test. Would you rather play Xavier Worthy or Darnell Mooney?
Darnell Mooney.
No thought at all. Wow. Okay.
Absolutely.
How about
Absolutely. Darnell
Xavier?
Mooney is he's trying to edge his way into wide receiver one conversation over there in Atlanta. He's right there with Drake 1-1. And in fact, when it comes to big plays, I mean, Darnell Mooney's seen his share of those too, whereas Xavier Worthy is a one and done situation right now. And so absolutely Darnell Mooney without question.
Wow. Well, you kind of think you convinced me. I think you just convinced me. I was afraid that might be a bridge too far, and that Worthy, you would have to play him over that. But that's a must.
Now listen, Worthy is a boomer bust guy, and if he booms, it's going to be Worthy. But in terms of
how about that one, Worthy or Rashid Shaheed? They're the same
coin. They're the exact same guy. They're the exact same guy.
You got any other wide receiver sits?
Yeah, most of the Pats. I have one sleeper. We'll get to it.
I've only got like 3 more running back sits.
Okay, I have one more running back sit, so go ahead.
And I already mentioned it, is Zach Moss. Me and you, this is why we diverge. We are going to find out.
I can't wait to find out how right I am on that.
To me, he's a must sit. Some of these feel
I wish I had him in our league of record and I could use him to beat you.
I wish you did too, and I wish you would try.
Single carry that motherfucker. Fucking giant piece of shit.
The one guy I was rooting for.
Fuck you.
Yeah, he deserves it. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Comes from both of us. And look, man, I probably shouldn't have to tell you these two, but they're, and I'm not racist, but they're both white. Rashad White and Zamir White. Don't play them. Don't play them. They are must sits. Zamir, you always think, this is the week. This will be the week. He'll look different. He'll be different. It's going to be different. It's not different, dude. He is who we thought he was. Okay. He should probably be dropped. I'm close. Yeah. I already dropped Swift. So
I think I dropped him in one league. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I only had him in one league. So he gone. Well, for me, the running back that's an absolute sit for me this week is Carson Steele. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but with Kareem Hunt showing up now into the mix, I think you're looking at a 3-man rotation. I was hoping Carson would go off last week in his big starring role. It was
How did he do? What did he do?
He did okay. I think he did like 8 points. It was nothing spectacular.
Let me look him up.
So this week with Kareem Hunt coming up to take probably any goal line work that might have gone to him, I think you got to go ahead and sit Carson Steele.
Carson Steele. 7.9 fantasy points.
There you go. What I say? I said
you said 8. I think you said 8. Yeah, so you were right there. Yeah, that's not fantastic.
And now again, that was the game that I thought was going to be his big breakout starring role, and instead he went out there, was just very, very, very just okay.
And we were all going to be Crocky J fans,
right? And now Kareem Hunt's coming into the mix, and so for me that makes him a must sit.
Kareem Hunt is interesting, but I think the more interesting narrative is Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
He's been on IR, hasn't he?
He's not. He's been on the non-football injury illness list.
The NFI list.
It's PTSD is what it is. Mental health.
Okay.
He's out for mental health. So that honestly really makes it even more difficult to know when or if he can return. When it comes to that, it's either you are ready or you're not. And he knew that he was going to be on, he needed at least to be on IR to deal with whatever it was. But, but he, that IR period is over, is going to be over. Isn't it 4 weeks minimum? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So really quickly, let's just go through your sleepers and flyers, and we'll go through mine too, and then we'll move on to the scary be wary.
Okay. So sleepers and flyers, remember.
Yes.
Please don't troll me. It's sleepers and flyers. This isn't must starts. Just hear me out. I'm going to say it again. Xavier Legette, dude. I like the kid. He's good. He can be good. I think he's a sleeper. He's a flyer. He's not a must start, but I think, don't be surprised if he ends up in the end zone this week. Xavier Legette, sleeper. Jacoby Myers, sleeper. Everyone's going to be looking at trade.
You're in love with Elon Musk. You're in love with Xavier Legette the way that Elon Musk is in love with the letter X.
Yeah.
That's your letter. You're like Xavier Legette.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
Going.
It's fun to
keep
say.
Going.
Have you seen him? Anyway, I'm like, how are you not obsessed? Little joke. It was a gay joke, but
it's hot.
There you go.
Spicy, very spicy.
You get it. You get it. Don't act like you didn't get it. And then my other wide receiver sleeper is Michael Wilson for in Arizona. Some would say maybe it's Dortch, but I say it's him. Do you want to go through your wide receivers?
Yeah, my wide receivers really quickly. Demario Douglas for the Pats. They're going to have to sling the ball at some point, and he's their main guy. So just volume based. Ridley versus Miami, just because I think now with Hopkins scoring last week, he's going to get a little more attention, and that's going to open Ridley back up. And Lockett versus Detroit, because again, after DK went off, I think that's going to bring some attention his way, and I think the open man's going to be Lockett. And and Jackson. I mean, again, I think that he's going to draw. JSN and DK are going to draw the attention, and there's going to be Lockett just running across the middle like he does. So I like Lockett as a sleeper flyer this week too.
Nice. I think those are good. My running backs, I already told you, Chase Brown, who you disagree with. We're going to start with our big disagreement. Khalil Herbert.
Okay.
I don't, just a sleeper, a flyer.
Could be him or Johnson. We talked about that. Yep.
Tyler Algier is a little sleeper flyer.
Okay.
Robinson's a little banged up, and we'll see. And Algier's been more involved than I expected this year anyway.
Unfortunately, always.
I mean, I thought they were going to fix that situation, but I guess I don't know. So he's a sleeper, and then my last one is a deep sleeper. Again, sleeper guy. Miles Sanders. Remember Miles Sanders?
Sure. Yes. The running back. Yeah.
We'll go with him.
Okay.
You got any running backs?
Yes, mine are Emmanuel Wilson versus Minnesota, because we've seen when Josh Jacobs gets a little stuck in the mud, Emmanuel Wilson comes in there and fires off like a Roman candle, and I'm here for it, baby. I love it.
Hey, you've been preaching. You've been preaching his name and
since last year,
and you've been right. And it's showing, and now other people are talking about him, not just you. So I give you said it first. You got it. You nailed that one.
The other one, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate
nailed it.
And the other one is Alexander Madison, just the same way that Zamir White is the sit. I think that makes Madison the sleeper. They get near that goal line, and it's going to be Madison toting the rock through that goal line. He's the sleeper. You need points. You need a flex. Try Madison.
I like it. Spicy.
Yeah. So those are my running backs.
Love it. Okay. So tight ends, again, these are hard. Look, they're all sleepers at this point, right? Like Mark Andrews is a sleeper.
You're 1,000% right. They're all sleepers.
They're all sleepers.
Horribly asleep.
So thank you. So with that in mind, to go deep into a sleeping group is not easy, but here we go. Taysom Hill, a little sleeper tight end. He may be a quarterback or a running back.
A flyer more than anything.
A flyer, a sleeper.
Just maybe. You never know. You never know.
Look, he's a tight end that does other things too sometimes. So we'll see. Maybe he's a sleeper. What's his name? What's his name? Johnny Munt? Is that his name?
Munt. Yeah, Munt with Minnesota.
Maybe he's a sleeper. Maybe a flyer. Maybe. For the tight ends. And then you were saying Ertz, and my sleeper would be Ben Sinnott, the rookie tight end over in Washington. A sleeper. I mean, it's I don't know, man. It's more of a flyer.
I think Ertz has to get injured before Sinnott becomes actually viable in terms of a points getter. I could see him seeing 1 or 2 catches or targets max.
Yeah.
For me, the tight end who you disagree with, we already know, is Strange. It's Strange or Evan Ingram. I don't think is a sleeper, but Strange. Again, I said it last week. I said I liked him last week, and he went right out there and caught a touchdown. He only had 3 receptions, but one of them was for a TD, which is what you need.
Which made him tight end 2 for the year. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so
it's nuts. He's got more touchdowns, more touchdowns than Kelsey, Mark Andrews, and there, I can give a huge not Trey McBride. He got one, but it was a fumble recovery combined. He's got more than all the best combined. Sam Laporta, all of them.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
All right.
Ridiculous. Okay. Sorry. So those were your tight ends. I like them. My wide receivers, no surprise. Take a flyer on Xavier Legette, you guys.
We already said this. We already covered this.
We did? And Jacoby Myers, you're right. Go ahead. Oh, defense.
Okay,
defense. We got to do defense.
Okay,
so cut that. So sleepers on defense, these are a little harder. So I've only got 2 of them, but I'll take the Patriots defense versus the Niners.
Oof.
And I know, look, I'm not sure what's going on, who's playing, and this whole situation. Brock was a little hurt. I don't know what's going on over there. Something's not right. Anyway.
Okay. Well, listen, in terms of a sleeper, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, Patriots.
Especially while Debo's out and McCaffrey's out and everything. I mean, yeah, and Kittle. Maybe
Kittle may come back. May come back. So I can
see that. I can see that because they are still a good defense. True.
So I mean, it's a sleeper. It's a flyer. It's a guess. And then the Broncos. I'll take the Broncos defense versus the Jets. Those are my defensive flyers.
Well,
they're lower in DraftKings, you know.
Yeah, I understand that. And I guess if I have a sleeper defense, it's the Atlanta Falcons. Judon is a huge difference maker for them. And they got one other new guy that's also been huge for them. And the Saints, after the way they got rolled last week, may be licking their wounds a little bit. As I said, don't be surprised if the Falcons win this game. And if they do, it's because their defense gets after Derek Carr real fucking good. Nice. So they're my sleeper defense.
I like it.
Yeah. So let's move on. Scary, be wary. We got to go through this really quickly. So let's just run through the list really quickly. I'll do mine, then you do yours. We got to skip a lot of explanation. It's obvious for obvious reasons. Bijan Robinson versus the Saints. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor versus the Steelers is a scary matchup. Dobbins versus the Chiefs. Considering what's going on with everybody else and the quarterback situation, very scary stuff. Garrett Wilson, obviously, versus Patrick Surtain. Achane versus the Titans because of the quarterback situation. The Titans should play the run. Hunter Henry versus the Bills. James Cook versus the Ravens because the Ravens defense is still very stout up front. Ramondre Stevenson versus San Francisco. If San Francisco manages to get out ahead of them, they're going to abandon him again. Again, it's just scary. These are guys you're probably still going to have to start, but these are some scary matchups in my opinion. And finally, Deontay Johnson versus Cincinnati, because even though he balled out last week, apparently he popped up with a groin injury, which can really slow down a wide receiver.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, so check that report. So those are just scary. You're obviously still going to use them. I'm not saying don't start them, but those are some scary matchups.
I agree 100%. I mean, I think it's scary and be wary. And this is going to sound crazy when you look at the numbers, but it's just beware. Patrick Mahomes. It's scary starting Patrick Mahomes. And he's playing against the Chargers. And you said you have a lot of them. You get it. It's not. It doesn't feel great. I mean, it doesn't feel. I don't feel that old excitement I used to feel with him in my lineup. So
I'm sorry, and I said Hunter. I meant Derrick Henry versus the Bills because Derrick Henry. I'm sorry, I said Hunter Henry. That's not what I meant at all. I meant Derrick Henry versus the Bills because Derrick Henry. Yeah, he can get stuck in the mud, and don't think the Bills aren't going to focus on shutting him down and trying to force Lamar to do the Lamar superhero thing, which hasn't worked out in the games that he's had to do it. So I think that's what they're going to try and force him to do. Sorry, continue.
Could be a good game for Justice Hill.
Could be a sleeper. Could be a sleeper.
That's a good we should put that in there. So I've got Mahomes for quarterbacks. Beware, it's scary season. Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Sam Darnold. These are all big names that are doing great right now. Darnold
That
4
is scary. You're
touchdowns.
right. Going
Anyway,
up.
scary. So for running backs, I'm with you. I also have Jonathan Taylor as a
Yeah, versus the
scary. You
Steelers.
can't sit him, but
Yeah.
it's scary. That's all. Alvin Kamara versus Atlanta. I'm nervous. ETN, that's scary. I think. Don't you know? And J.K. Dobbins again.
Yeah, I am
can't
too.
can't do it. I know. So we see eye to eye on a lot of those are very scary. What about your wide receivers?
I already did all mine. Garrett
Oh,
Wilson.
so for my
Yeah.
wide receivers are Devontae Adams. I already said. Nico Collins is a little scary in this game. It's like this is, I believe, is going to be a Diggs game, and I also think that he's a little banged up, and I don't think they're going to be honest about how bad it is, and he may be playing through something. And again, I'm thinking Diggs. So I'm a little scared to play Nico, and it's always scary to play Garrett Wilson. Feels like beware, even though he's so good and all this stuff.
But in this week in particular, he is a true lockdown corner in Patrick Surtain III. And you look at the record, he's just shutting down superstars one right after the next. And with the connection not being there, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, all right.
Anybody else? What else you got?
For a tight end, what does it say? Oh, here, you ready for this one? Beware. Beware. His name is Quentin Toon. Maybe he's a sleeper or a flyer. This is the guy who's going to take McBride's place in Arizona, because McBride is out. Trey McBride is out. Yeah. So we got Quentin Toon, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, start him at your own risk.
He's a flyer, or
I'm saying start him at your own risk. Beware of Quentin Toon.
I don't know. He's hitting the start list for many people. I mean, just because Trey McBride goes out doesn't mean you put in Toon.
You might.
No, there's plenty of other better starters out there.
Are there? Look, Toon might be amazing.
Dude,
I've got
Ertz today. I picked up Ertz today.
I've got Kyler Murray.
I would start Hunter Henry over Toon.
I might take a shot on Toon. I tell you.
So he's a flyer then. He's a flyer.
All right. I might take a shot.
You take a flyer on Toon.
Maybe take a shot on Quentin Toon, guys.
Okay.
Well, Quentin Toon. That's it.
Right. We're going to end with that. We're going to end with our spiciest,
Quentin Toon
on a soggy chip cake. Quentin Toon.
Yeah.
Tune it up. Play that tune. Don't do it. Turn that tune off.
Name that.
That's it, guys. Here we go. Week 4. Fantasy football. Harsh reality. Take care, guys. Let's see what happens.